Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam. Today's episode is going to be another Q&A. Now, before I continue, of course, thank you to my studio VIP, Luke Uyamura, and thank you to today's featured studio artist, who is Dylan Butler. Thank you so much for donating to the studio. And if you'd like to become a studio artist or studio VIP, you can go to patreon.com/Adam10, or you can click over here. Now, today's Q&A is because we've just hit 4,000 subscribers.
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Thank you so much for watching the show, whether you watched from the very beginning when I had 2 subscribers, or whether you started watching last week or yesterday. Thank you so much for your support, because I never thought a show about percussion could make it this far. Like, it only feels like yesterday that I did the 3,000 subscriber Q&A, so thank you.
So proud, immensely proud.
And so, as we always have on this channel, I'm going to be celebrating 4,000 subscribers by answering some of your questions on this video. Based on your comments, I've picked 5 questions to answer in this video. Questions which I think are probably too short to be answered in an entire episode on their own, so they're going to be answered in this video instead. By the way, let me know if you guys like the new backdrop. I've been trying to experiment with different backgrounds, and yeah, this looks like I'm from the future. First question is from Josh Yern, and he says, "Hey Adam, any tips for aiming to study music at university?" As you guys know, I recently passed my Master of Music degree at university, so I get asked this question quite a lot, whether it's through email or through the comments section. And I think if you want to study music at the university level, or college as some of you guys call it, then just go for it. And a lot of the time when I explain to non-musicians what I studied, I'd say, oh, I study percussion, I study music at university. There'd always be this sort of stigma when I said that, because everyone would think, oh, music, you're not going to get a job from that. Oh, music, you can study that? What? Oh, you can study music at university? Huh, we have to study real jobs like accounting and medicine and engineering and medicine. And I can totally understand that, because music is definitely not what people would say is a conventional job. Don't let anyone tell you there's no employment prospects or anything like that. I know plenty of people who are percussionists in orchestras. I know plenty of people who are educators, tons of educators. And of course, I have nothing against people who want to do things like accounting or medicine, because I have a lot of friends who are doing those fields and they love it. But if you want to study music at university, if you're not interested in those other fields, go for it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because later on down the track, maybe 5 years into your degree that you didn't want to do, you'll be like, I really wish I studied music back then. The next thing to consider when you want to study music at a university is where you want to study, who you want to study with. Like, if you have the luxury of choosing where to study in your hometown, always choose somewhere that best suits your needs. For example, if you really want to pursue marimba, you wouldn't go to a school where the faculty is really good at marching percussion, but doesn't really specialize in keyboard percussion. Similarly, if you wanted to become an orchestral percussionist, you would go to a school where maybe the head of percussion is a principal percussionist somewhere. You wouldn't go to a school where the head of percussion specializes in keyboard, because then all the things that you want aren't there. Now, of course, I know not everyone is able to afford to go to really nice schools. I mean, for example, here in Perth, we only have 2 major music schools. And if you don't have the luxury of choosing a school based on its faculty, then there are other factors that you can consider too. Like, for example, what kind of equipment they have, how big it is, how many people are studying there. At the University of Western Australia, when I came in my first year, there was only 3 other students in that place. 3 other students, which meant there were more instruments than there were students. Which meant long term, I had more time on the instrument, which meant I could practice more. So bottom line, everyone is different, but try and find a school where you'll be happy with most of the features there, if not all, because the last thing you want to do is spend 5 years of your life in an institution that you hate. And then once you've picked music as what you want to study and you've picked your school, the final thing is to prepare adequately for university level percussion. Now, this is something that I didn't do as well as I should have. I was very underprepared when I headed into my undergraduate degree. I was miles behind everyone else in terms of technique, and I basically sucked. And part of the reason why that was the case was because I didn't practice much in high school. I didn't practice the things I was bad at. So in order to adequately prepare yourself for university, I highly recommend going through basic technical things like rudiments and scales in your high school time, because if you're really good at it in high school, you can focus on the more important things when you go into university. So that's my tips for studying music at university. Let me know in the comments below if you've got any tips for anyone who would like to study music in university. I'm sure they would love to hear from you. Thank you for the question, Josh. Next question is from Jun Dames, and Jun says, what is your favorite Marimba 1 mallet? Oh, snap. I bet half of you guys are thinking that I'm gonna say the wave wraps. Well, you'd be wrong.
How could you do this to me?
As you guys know, I'm pretty picky with mallets and I really like my 50-50 mallets. So while none of the Marimba 1 mallets are objectively bad or anything, like they're all quite good mallets, but none of them really appeal to me as a daily driver type mallet, except for the Marimba 1 round sounds. I like the round sound for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, it is a very affordable mallet. It is super cheap. You get all of the nice features of Marimba 1 mallets for the lowest price in the Marimba 1 range, which I think is great. Secondly, what I like about the round sounds, there's only 3 models. All the other Marimba 1 mallet series have at least 4 hardnesses, and the round sounds are the only one that has 3 hardnesses, and they couldn't be any simpler to remember: soft, medium, and hard. Less hardnesses means that getting the entire series is actually feasible. Like, a lot of the time when you have those mallet series with 7 hardnesses, it is pretty much impossible for the everyday player to afford 7 hardnesses. But 3 hardnesses is pretty easy to get. And the third reason why I like the round sounds is because of the feel. In terms of weight, they're not a 50-50 mallet, but they are a slightly weighted mallet. So they're not super heavy like the Katarzyna Mishkas or the Ivana Bilic mallets. So I think they're a good middle ground. So yeah, my favorite Marimba 1 mallet is the round sounds. Josh Lockerbie asks, can you do a video of you playing a song by Yiruma, preferably River Flows in You or Kiss the Rain? I'm gonna cop so much flack for this, but here you go. I'm sorry to all my Asian pianist friends, but Nicholas Ilescas, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicholas, you know how bad I am with pronouncing things. Nicholas asks, we're gonna be the first ones to see that piece of yours on a sheet, right? So a lot of you guys asked me on the Keiko Abe video, is your piece gonna be available for download? When are you releasing it? No. I've basically just finished coming up with the final bits, so it should be out by the end of this week, here's hoping. It will be available for purchase on my website, adamtanpercussion.com/download. And of course, you guys will be the first people to see it. I will be doing an online premiere by releasing a video of myself playing the whole thing on this channel. When you see that, that means the piece is out. And as I said in the last episode, all my studio VIPs and studio artists will receive a discount code just for them, exclusive to my patrons only. So if you're a studio VIP or a studio artist, look out for that. But yes, the piece is coming along pretty nicely. Now I just hope I make a good recording of it. Oh my god, Adam, you can't even play your own piece. Ah! The next question is from Zelda Brawler. I like that username. I don't know if this would be enough for a video as much as a segment on a Q&A. Can you explain your process of using different variations of hardness for pieces? So let me tell you a story about how I used to choose mallet harnesses when I was back in high school and my early undergraduate degree. When I first got into university, I didn't really have any marimba mallets and none of my friends were really marimbas. They only ever bought medium marimba mallets. So every time I borrowed marimba mallets to play my 4 mallet solo, it would just be medium. And then when I finally decided to buy marimba mallets for myself, I only ever bought medium soft, or medium hard. And frankly speaking, I had absolutely no idea on how hardnesses worked. I just bought medium because I thought it was the safe option and you could use it for everything. How wrong was I? The truth is mallet harnesses are very important for marimba because we have less control over tone color than other instruments. Have you ever noticed for marimba, we never directly touch the instrument with any part of our body? It took me ages to realize this, but we only ever touch marimba with mallets, which are an extension of our hands. We never touch it with our hands directly in the same way a pianist would touch a piano. For example, a pianist has a lot of degree of control because they're using their fingers and it's directly connected to their body. And then a brass player can directly control their sound using their embouchure, similar to how a woodwind player can also control it through their breath. Even string players, I mean, they hold their instruments with their hands and they touch the fingerboard. There's direct human contact, so they have more control over the sound. But for marimba, we don't really have that sort of degree of control over our sound. If we want to change timbre, if we want to change tone color, we have to rely on mallet hardness. So no, it's not cheating, it's just something that we have to do. Now, in order to understand the basics of mallet hardness and why you should choose choose mallet harnesses for certain situations, you have to understand how the marimba is constructed. So by using my 5-octave marimba as an example, towards the low end of the marimba, the bars are thinner and they are bigger. Whereas at the top end of the marimba, the very high end of the marimba, the bars are thicker and smaller, which means that the ring duration is shorter. And then towards the middle of the marimba, the bars ring out for an average amount of time, so in between. So with this knowledge of the characteristics of the low, middle, and high end of the marimba, we can now match hardnesses to each one of these areas. And this might seem like common knowledge to a lot of you guys who are more advanced, but when I was in high school, I had absolutely no idea about this. So towards the low end of the marimba, if you use a soft mallet on the marimba, you'll get more of the warm tone and you'll get more of the fundamental, and it's a more clean sound. But if you use a hard mallet towards the bottom, you get a very harsh thudding sound and it doesn't really bring out the resonance, and you just get this boom. And you get all these wonky overtones and it sounds pretty bad. Conversely, if you go towards the top of the marimba, if you use a hard mallet, it's quite clear. You get a crisp sound and you get a reasonable amount of resonance from that very clear attack. But if you use a soft mallet towards the top end, you get this very muffly, woolly sound that's like, ugh. And then if you're in the middle of the instrument, if you use a medium mallet, you get a pretty general, clean sound. If you use a soft mallet, it starts to get a bit woolly. And if you use a hard mallet, it starts to get a bit tick, 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 tick. So bottom line, the rule of thumb is bottom end, soft mallet. Top end, hard mallet. Middle end, general medium mallet. That's all well and good for 2 mallet setups or mallet setups where you only use one part of the instrument. But when you're playing 4 mallet works, more complex works, you'll be using the entirety of the marimba's range. So how do we deal with that? This is where we introduce the term of graduated mallets. And you might have heard this term a lot when I describe things like the Zeltsman mallets, which come in a graduated mallet setup. A graduated mallet setup is when you have 4 mallets and they gradually get harder from left to right. So towards the bottom, you have your soft mallet, towards the top, you have your hard mallet, and in between, you have medium mallets. If you have a PAS membership, a Percussive Art Society membership, and you have access to Percussive Notes, which is a research journal, you should check out the article by Christopher Wilson called Use and Selection of Graduated Mallets. It's in the January 2011 issue, which is volume 49, issue 1, and this article goes into detail about the whole idea of graduated mallets, including examples. But if you don't have access to that resource, or you just want a more simplified version, here it is. The most typical graduated mallet setups revolve around a soft mallet at the bottom to get that bass end, and a hard mallet towards the top to get that clear top voice. But of course, all pieces are different. Some pieces have all the action in the middle 2 mallets. Some pieces have a floating soprano line over the top. Some pieces are chorales where they have all rolls. They're all different. So what are some typical graduated mallet setups for these situations? Let's denote our mallets 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right, 1 being your outer mallet on the left hand, 2 being your inner mallet on the left hand, 3 being your inner mallet on your right hand, and 4 being your outer mallet on your right hand. So out, in, out. The most typical graduated mallet setup I find is soft, medium, medium, hard. So 1 is soft, 2 is medium, 3 is medium, and 4 is hard. This is a really good setup for anything that you want to have a clear soprano line over the top, or if you want to have a very clear first note in like lateral stroke areas like or if you have some really high top notes and then you have some quiet interaction in the middle register of the instrument. This is a very typical graduated setup. If we start to go into real detail and start using things like medium soft and medium hard mallets, this can also become soft, medium, and then medium hard, which is basically the same idea as soft, medium, medium hard. You're just taking it one step further. For example, if you buy the Nancy Zeltsman graduated mallet set from Encore Mallets, you get basically a soft mallet, which is the pink one, a medium soft mallet, which is the brown one, and then a medium general mallet, which is the green one, and then the other green one is a medium hard mallet. And this mallet setup basically works the same way as a soft, medium, medium hard. Another type of graduated mallet setup is soft, medium, hard, hard. Now, soft, medium, hard works really well if you have 2 top lines that you want to bring out. For example, passages that have a lot of octaves in them. Ding, 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 ding. Say something like Merlin, you want to hear a lot of the top top register octaves, then you would have 2 harder mallets in the right hand and then your typical medium and soft in the left hand. Another type of mallet setup which is a bit rarer is soft, medium, medium, medium. Soft, medium, medium, medium generally pertains to pieces that are more single line in their approach. For example, a lot of the Japanese pieces like Torse 3, Time for Marimba, they're all very single line and they all go up together homogeneously up and down in the marimba's registers, which means you want a mallet that deals with all of the hardnesses in the same way because you want the line to sound like one unified melodic line. So something like soft, medium, medium, medium would work really well. What about something like soft, soft, medium, medium? Soft, soft, medium, medium would be more for something like a chorale where you want to have a nice, big, meaty, fundamental filled roll. You want it to have a nice chorale type roll with a thick bass line and a reasonably mushy middle area, then yes, soft, soft, medium, medium would work really well. If you really wanted to get nuanced about your chorale, you could make it a medium hard, you can make one a medium soft. Basically what I'm trying to say is with these basic graduated mallet structures, you can experiment. You can have slightly medium soft or slightly medium hard, might even go very hard in some instances. And nowadays there are a lot of two-tone mallets as well, where you can get 2 different hardnesses from the same mallet. So I would recommend for someone who is new to graduated mallets to borrow some mallets or get a range of hardnesses or mallets and experiment with soft, medium, hard, hard, soft, medium, medium, hard, soft, medium, 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 and then go from there. Now, of course, there is no right or wrong mallet choice for different pieces. I mean, as you know, all mallet choices are pretty subjective. The rule of soft for low, medium for middle, and hard for high should always be adhered to. And from there, you can work out your ideal graduated mallet setup for you, and then you're all set. So I think that's enough questions for today's episode. Thank you so much for contributing these questions in the comments below. As always, if you have any suggestions or any questions or anything you want to say to me, put it in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for 4,000 subscribers. I had never thought that my studio channel would catch up to my vlog channel so quickly, and I really appreciate all the support. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And please click that red subscribe button below if you haven't already to keep up with my uploads. I upload every single week. And of course, if you don't want to miss out on my new piece coming this week, make sure you turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know about it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.
Pretty hot, I'll never be a million.